Let us praise His name with an opening La Comète and in the graceful procession of Widova, let laughing Madras-crowned girls rejoice before Him in the Scottish and flirtatious mulala, His violon hinting of heartache. And while we forget time turning in quick-heeled polkas, pause during the tentative Norwegian. For when the couples end the guawon, you alone must dance for him, your kutumba.
I was glad when they called me to go up in the serenal, the violon scraping my heart, banjo and quattro thrumming my grief like the plectrum, and the guitar pulling my heel. I only seen her tuning the mandolin on her bosom. Then the shak-shak shake me loose, insisting, wait for the bow and the courtesy. Wait for the sax, the drum, and the quadrille to start. Selah.
Hati mama mwe kafe. Hati mama mwe kaini. Hati mama.
And so she has come to the gold-flecked warp duet. Its long train enfolds over her left wrist. The clean petticoat adorned with lace, the satin foulard, the headpiece of rainbow madras. From the nondescript costume of the far city, from the profligate famine of Barnard's estates, to the embracing plenitude of quadrille, shak-shak, and violon, to that bright brooch on the glistening triangular foulard.
The cascading words of my hand pluck His praise from 8-string mandolin and local banjo. Place His favor on madras and foulard, the satin and the lace. Plant His steps in mazouk, la comète, and guawon. Point His casual grace in yellow pumpkin star, pendulum mango. Plait Him a crown of anthurium and fern. He is the crown, the star of grace, the dancer of creation, the robing of righteousness, tuning of the spheres, hand of the incarnating word.
stars above. But when you need someone true to love, don't go to strangers. Come on to me.
Play with fire till your fingers burn, and when there's no place for you to turn, don't go to strangers.
Don't go to strangers.
Come on to me.
If I had thought you would have gone so imperceptibly, so almost without my knowing, I might have listened to your fluted love, the 212s and the orange grove, more intently. I would have dipped more easily in your island streams, savoring the cool ripple of your fingers on my skin. I would have slept late into an afternoon, to wake to the banter and squawking of egrets mating in a stand of blue mangroves, oblivious of this progress thing about to happen. I would have painted immortally children bathing, swathed in clear rain coming down over La Sorcière. But now the sun dips into an evening red with the dust of the trades, and I note that we have traded the soft tenor of 212s, the pure pleasure of rain on a child's skin, for this.
When you hear the call to follow your heart, you follow your heart, I know. I've been through it all, and I'm on no hand, and I'll understand if you go. So make your mark for your friends to see when you need more than company.
Don't go to strangers.
Don't go to strangers.
Come on to me.
She hasn't heard of the rivers dying, her demise, their imminence. But les mâles oreilles were aptly named for hardly hearing or hardly listening, until we do not hear from cubicled poachers the 212's complaint, the silence of cedars no longer speaking. Tractors backfill wetlands to fulfill other dreams. Hours sleep late to wait to a nightmare that does not end. Machines keep on coming. High-rising arrogance of condominiums, and timeshares share none of our dreams.
Make your mark for your friends to see. But when you need more than company, don't go to strangers.
Don't go. Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on to me.
They will take your girl child, your innocent, all your love incarnate, and like a bag of coals, cast her at the feet of Jabs. Disconsolate for the lost way, the clouded memory of old habits abandoned, the simplest of rituals, shared meals, prayers, hymns, sunrise, the coming in and going out of doors, intimate thoughts and public greetings. She will be lost, mostly to herself, and will not wish to see even the flutter of the brown dove's shadow come to earth, nor the posturing lizard sunning on its rock, nor the next blossoming of forest orchids, nor the homing seabird at day's end, nor you who sang her into life, whose breath commingled and conceived her, you whose every wish will lie bagged and corded at the feet of Jabs. And the making of night will become your chore. You will churn it from the mills of resignation, its black dust like a slow fuse to gunpowder, a simmering, angry dusk, settling in the soul, dousing, deadening, darkening down. Yes, they will take your girl child, your innocent, all your love incarnate, and your first son will be among them, laying live offerings at the feet of Jabs.
Come on a wave of a wind. My windows spread wide like arms to embrace will fold close when you stand inside. My feelings unskinned, your hands on my face. Come on a wave of a wind, as searing as sun emblazoning trees, unnoticed by all but the one calling you from within, deep, where he sees through the mind's windows. Come with embrightening eyes, your wild hair unfold. You strip my worn words of disguise. I am naked, blessedly dumb. Then you redress my world.
A woman who has loved me for 50 years is dying. Weak, losing weight, she is terrified, denying. I text every day to say I am praying for her, send Bible verses. I avoid prying out diagnoses. She's private like that, and I have not been calling to chat. What can I really say? I regret her love was unrequited. I was always touch and go while you waited so patiently for me to turn to you, to learn, foolish boy, that you loved me since 1965, that dinner party where we first met. But why this line? When she is desperate for tomorrow alone, back to normal, flirtations on the phone, complaints about the youth and her son's self-willed ways, I should call, speak of the weather and all the flooding in town, talk of old cast trees and archived evenings unfolding on Marianne Street, gripe about politics, and grope for half-imagined intimacies with a joke. She wants life, fantasies of what might have been, good remembrances of yesterday, so she might delete today's encumbrances of cancer's relentless gouging of her gut. The chastening chords of dark passages.
If you were a song of love, I'd play you forever and ever and ever. If you were a song of love, you'd be my million seller.
The discordant notes, the end of prostrate, purging interludes of sorrow, and after, with patient hand, here you are. You've waited, our days turned around and over, yesterday, tomorrow, brief certain now, and I remember, do you? Across the valley, the viola's echo and that epiphanic evening of the garden rainbow when we knew us in love's unambiguous light. Oh, don't say you have forgotten that promise of paradiso. The beatific heart of the matter of yes, my faithful love, love.
If you were a song of love, I'd play you forever, never, never. If you were a song of love, you'd be my million seller.
The beatific heart of the matter of, yes, my faithful love, love. In the meantime, the blessed declining ordinary, broom cellar at the corner, karaoke bar above the grocery, raisin bread and custards from Coral Street for your tea, measuring medications, and nodding over the evening news, and settling our backs into our corners. Can this make a song? A certain melody drawn from your old guitar? This companionship, soft, aromatic as aging incense. These remembrances, that persistent chord coming through the hibiscus hedge.
persistent chord coming through the hibiscus hedge, like a Patrick Saint-Éloi tender mazouk. Oh, come, shake the legs free of this age. It's idolatry of death, crutches of belly-aching, damn, numbing noise without living rhythm, paralysis of those who limp with crippling pride in their dark. Come, a last close rubber dub to bass and drum, heart near to heart, breast to lifting breast, and oh, we've kept it all. We've kept the time. Now, let us go in. Leave the dark garden.
Now let us go in. Leave the dark garden to the corralita, crotons, and fragrance of spider lilies, guavas and golden apples somewhere in their shadows. Again, I hear the distant orchestra's echo, strings and horns, a solo canto, and do you hear our name in the song? Come the threshold of night, we shall meet ourselves in love.
Without ambiguous twilight, coupled, singular, familiar, embraced at doorways in light of rainbows, separate and particular, and leave behind forever the sliver season of the moon.
The sliver season of the moon.
If you were a song of love, I'd play you forever and ever and ever. If you were a song of love, you'd be my million sailor. La la la, la la la, la la la.
What is this thing? What is this thing you carry under your skin, in your head, in this hard shell? What is this thing that preserves you, hides a treasury of knowledge and memory like stolen bread or holy water, like some elixir of eternity or force under your hand and in your breast that makes you smile unseen in the quiet night alone, or in the shaded elbow of the long road you travel in your dreams, that makes you shimmer secretly behind those charcoal eyes, under the beading brow, between scarred and blemished cheeks, as if you alone possess some ancient secret of joy. What is this thing, this unspoken, unnamed thing that kings and devils crave to command the earth, alter the fate of men, the means to shape the face of time? What is it down there, bone deep, that keeps you audacious, even in the face of fear, and leaves you free, despite the threat of chains, makes you walk towards the light, even now, even now? What is this ponderous, wondrous thing?
I waited till I saw the sun. Don't know why I didn't come. I left you by the house of fun. I don't know why I didn't come. I don't know why I didn't come.
The day fading, I had hoped to find you here waiting impatiently in your characteristic way. Now at this time, at this turning of the year, the cathedral grayer in the twilight than an old spinster's prayer that the children out of school since 2, but huddled on the council's benches on the square, would be stricken by the silent, sacred gaze of a virgin's most immaculate conception for their liberties and indiscretions, unmindful of the censure of her fading sight. Yes, I had hoped to find you here.
My heart is drenched in wine, 'cause you be on my mind forever.
You did not show. I had always feared this. Feared that I would have to let go of what was slipping into the past inexorably, like a prayer for the old immoralities.
You were moving away from a cathedral's gaze of quietude. You did not show. And the square would fill with memories of a distant childhood, receding regardless of my longings.
And your not showing was like your walking away, on and away.
And I, frozen in this muted scream, would not dare to stop you, to arrest your progress to another time, another age in which my naive loves, my past green spaces, iconic places, pale against the bombast of a desert star.
My heart is drenched in wine, 'cause you be on my mind forever.
I thought it was over. The season of lilac carpets along verges, on green lawns, petals of paoye stepping off currents of soft air, settling with tender ease to earth's lanes. But here they are again in May, everywhere, with a morning bassoon of wood doves. And yes, indeed, incredibly to me, ignorant of seasons of flora, I see the fragrant Easter spider lily blooming from unexpected corners of my without you days. Make room for the accommodation of the dead, you muttered, in a dark saying that seemed to mute memory. To remove yourself to the soughing casuarinas of Pigeon Island, out of our too familiar embrace, too smothering adulation, our burrowing eyes searching out your diaries.
And the cascading cedar blossoms race the grey heron to the surf-chastened ledges of Bacune Point, the forlorn pool, deserted studio, vacant easel, their mounds that multiply by the furrowing sea. After gentle curtsies through golden late afternoons to La Comette and Martinique and Mazouk, past delicate carvings of white cedar figurines in the sculptor's garden, and other such benedictions.
Meantime, autocrats of Mammon desecrate your groves and beaches. They set iron beasts to holy roots of the blessed cedar with arrogant pride. They mock the memory of your protests. They will not heed angry alarms of scissor-tailed gulls, stubborn silence of drought.
And we want your grey-eyed fierceness here, not in the torchlit catacombs of your head, not in tiresome fictions of some mythical you, but impossibly, like Atlantic breakers glimpsed through bamboo of violated pralin. Here now. Heraldic egrets lift your lines from Mont Fortune to Moulin Chic with the awkward grace of their perfect symmetry. The flowering mauve of cedar tumbles through green fern around Soufrière. And we leave your last book not near your beloved Ben Piton, but by the almond-bright, spume-blown cemetery.
Nothing so meek and immeasurable as thankfulness, which knows itself to be enough and yet leaves room for more. This gift of gentle sailing into dusk for his being here, sentient, silent, while evening tilts and oceans pivot round this December ending. For daughters who will visit joy and the clatter of grandchildren upon a house grown too suddenly still, amid the cresting traffic of sea breakers. For this porch, our shaded gaze graying under its shingled brim. For this unfolding gift of flannel sky and its wrinkled tin reflection. Through cataracts of clouds, we watch the timeline blurring and hemming our horizon, and closer still, the roomy veils of sea spray making ghosts of far-off tankers fading too fast past Signal Point.
And so, what do we say of him? That he named our exaltations, our imperfections with the beauty of a poet's brush, the metaphor of a painter's pen, every neglected self-pitying inlet, muttering in brackish dialect, each ochre track seeking some hilltop. Let us accept the burden of continuing the line, fraught though this may be with inadequacies, with our faltering steps. And yes, let us elate in the beauty, the power, the nobility of his charge as he goes into the morning softly on the sails of white aigrettes, an entrance, not a parting.
Cayenne, got to have cayenne, got to have cayenne, 'cause the rain is falling. Cayenne, got to have cayenne now. Got to have cayenne now, for the rain is falling.
Marley was rocking on the transport stereo, and the beauty was humming the choruses quietly. I could see where the lights on the planes of her cheeks streaked and defined them. And if this were a portrait, you'd leave the highlights for last. These lights silkened her black skin. I'd have put in an earring, something simple in good gold for contrast, but she wore no jewelry. I imagined a powerful and sweet odor coming from her, as from a still panther, and the head was nothing but heraldic. When she looked at me, then away from me politely, because any staring at strangers is impolite. It was like a statue, like a black Delacroix's Liberty leading the people. The gently bulging whites of her eyes, the carved ebony mouth, the heft of the torso solid, and a woman's, but gradually even that was going in the dusk, except the line of her profile and the highlit cheek. And I thought, oh, beauty, you are the light of the world.
It was not the only time I would think of that phrase in the 16-seater transport that hummed between Grosley and the market, with its grit charcoal and the litter of vegetables after Saturday's sales, and the roaring rum shops, outside whose bright doors you saw drunk women on pavements. The saddest of all things, winding up their week, winding down their week.
The market, as it closed on this Saturday night, remembered a childhood of wandering gas lanterns hung on poles at street corners, and the old roar of vendors and traffic, when the lamp lighter climbed, hooked the lantern on its pole and moved on to another, and the children turned their faces to its mouth, their eyes white as their nighties.
The market itself was closed in its involved darkness, and the shadows quarreled for bread in the shops, or quarreled for the formal custom of quarreling in the electric rum shops. I remember the shadows. The van was slowly filling in the darkening depot. I sat in the front seat. I had no need for time. I looked at two girls, one in a yellow bodice and yellow shorts with a flower in her hair, and lusted in peace, the other less interesting. That evening I had walked the streets of the town where I was born and grew up, thinking of my mother, and her white hair tinted by the dying dusk, and the tilting box houses that seemed perverse in their cramp. I had peered into parlors with half-closed jalousies at the dim furniture, Morris chairs, a center table with wax flowers, and the lithograph of Christ of the Sacred Heart, vendors still selling to the empty streets sweets, nuts, sodden chocolates, nut cakes, mints.
An old woman with a straw hat over her handkerchief hobbled towards us with a basket. Somewhere, some distance off, was a heavier basket that she couldn't carry. She was in a panic. She said to the driver, "Pa quitte moi à terre," which is in her patois, "Don't leave me stranded."
Which is in her history and that of her people, "Don't leave me on earth." Or by a shift of stress, "Don't leave me the earth for an inheritance. Pa quitte moi à terre." Heavenly transport, don't leave me on earth. I've had enough of it.
The bus filled in the dark with heavy shadows that would not be left on earth. No, that would be left on earth and would have to make out.
Abandonment was something they had grown used to.
And I had abandoned them. I knew that there, sitting in the transport, in the sea quiet dusk, with men hunched in canoes, and the orange lights from the Fiji headland, black boats on the water, I, who could never solidify my shadow to be one of their shadows, had left them their earth, their white rum quarrels and their coal bags, their hatred of corporals, of all authority. I was deeply in love with the woman by the window. I wanted to be going home with her this evening.
I wanted her to have the key to our small house by the beach at Grosley. I wanted her to change into a smooth white nightie that would pour like water over the black rocks of her breasts, to lie simply beside her by the ring of a brass lamp and tell her in silence that her hair was like a hill forest at night, that a trickle of rivers was in her armpits, that I would buy her Benin if she wanted it, and never leave her on earth. But the others too.
Because I felt a great love that could bring me to tears, and a pity that prickled my eyes like a nettle, I was afraid I might suddenly start sobbing in the public transport with the Marley going, and a small boy peering over the shoulders of the driver and me, at the lights coming at the rush of the road in the country darkness, with lamps in the houses on the small hills and thickets of stars. I had abandoned them.
I had left them on earth. I left them to sing Marley's songs of a sadness as real as the smell of rain on dry earth or the smell of damp sand. And the bus felt warm with their neighborliness, their consideration, and the polite partings in the light of its headlamps, in the blare, in the thud-sobbing music, the claiming scent that came from their bodies.
I wanted the transport to continue forever, for no one to descend and say a good night in the beams of the lamps and take the crooked path to the lit door guided by fireflies. I wanted her beauty to come into the warmth of considerate wood, to the relieved rattling of enamel plates in the kitchen and the tree in the yard.
But I came to my stop. Outside the Halcyon Hotel, the lounge would be full of transients like myself. Then I would walk with the surf up the beach. I got off the van without saying goodnight. Goodnight would be full of inexpressible love. They went on in their transport. They left me on earth.
Then a few yards ahead, the van stopped. A man shouted my name from the transport window.
I walked up towards him. He held out something.
A pack of cigarettes had dropped from my pockets.
He gave it to me. I turned, hiding my tears. There was nothing they wanted, nothing I could give them but this thing I have called the light of the world.
Pamwe kiti se mama wadlo kiti. Pamwe kiwe se mama wadlo kiwe. Walo pweza limet mama zinge imete loyada. Ievite li si fe puvini asiste yo. Pamwe kiti se mama wadlo kiti. Pamwe kiwe se mama wadlo kiwe. Walo pweza limet mama zinge imete yada loyo. Ievite li si fe puvini asiste yo.
Toutes ces petites îles à nous qu'a cherché koyo à présent. La poa yo te quitté au bord de la rivière, en bas la ligne claire, à côté de la mer. Langue maman yo quitté caché en bas roche, serré en bas calebasse. Yo voulez amasser à présent, qu'on la peau la diablesse après soleil levé. Toutes ces petites îles à nous qu'a cherché koyo à présent. Et c'est toujours comme ça depuis longtemps. Et puis toutes ces petites îles sans nous.
Pamwe ki di se mamai wadlo ki di. Pamwe ki we se mamai wadlo ki we. Wadlo pweza li met mama zinge imete yada loyo. I evite li si fe pou vini asiste yo.
Pauye ka flewi, ka chargé en lotiflet. Fout ses fleurs à comment pas faire en les airs. Hirondelle qu'a chanté en chanson de les forêts, à force chanson est tellement douce et dorée. Et en les forêts au bord de la rivière, nous qu'a coûté, nous qu'a boué toute sa expérience naturelle de la terre. Alors, laissez-nous poser pour un petit moment. Quittez-nous ça des timiettes plus longtemps, pas trop pressé pour lever, pour aller, pour foucan. Restez en écoute. Lentement, lentement. Bon, moi, des petits flecs à pousser à sous pauyer. Bon, moi, des petits fruits bois-gouillés qu'à bougeonner dans les forêts, qu'à sous les moins, qu'à soulager avec la paix. Bon, moi, la rivière, wavine claire, qui sous gloyo, c'est les monts et montagnes, qu'à pitcher haut en l'air. Et à sous-bordage la rivière, les ramiers qu'a posé bois, clos les nuages et les hauteurs. Laissez de l'eau, ça l'a touché langue moi aussi. Ben moi parler des mots paroles comme des bijoux clairants et pis. Et comme la parolica déroulée à sous langue, laissez-moi engeler bodage de l'eau et à sous mon enfin, laissez-moi découvrir moi.
Pas moi qui dit, c'est maman Wadlo qui dit. Pas moi qui way, c'est maman Wadlo qui way. Wadlo pwes ali met maman singe, il mette à taloyon, il invite li si fait pour venir assister yo.
Ginger spiced penny piece, unleavened emblem of his body at the Passover, wafer thin host emaciated, that assuages the repentant tongue. Repentant, we thought, of our blackness. Long-robed processional, a black and white St. Helene languishing now in a family collection, traditions graying with the past. The colonials have gone from the altar, and from the high places, custodians of a metropole's order, from a mansion on the moon overcast trees.
In the town below, we proclaim this people, a people absolved of an empire's original sin, and still, a people captive to our own devils, strangely antithetical, counter-archetypal to the prostrate fear of distant gods. Papa Bois of the forest was not a stealer of souls. His minions not a dark proletariat of a netherworld. He, herb of the deep woods, en les Guambas, caractère des hommes, healer of souls. Who but ourselves may fathom this torture dialectic?
Emblems and rituals are those rituals. His body churning through centuries, his cup, libations of wine or rum on the altar of our labor. And now this freedom absolving, this history. Superstitions that sprouted in the shadows of a primeval moon are banished by electric lights. And new myths grow where ancient ones die.
The moment of Fonger Libre was only a moment.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his hat and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. So, you think the struggle is over? Yes, you, with your fake brand name jeans halfway down the black crack of your consciousness. You think the struggle is so over that decent colored folk can afford to imitate them poor-ass dogs, them ghetto boys and nappy-headed hoes and just take up the jailbird jibe, the going nowhere projects vibe. Like we don't have our own fight to get off on, to wager with the man, to get our soft-ass butt in gear and fight for what is right.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Yes, you who Who else think the struggle is so damn over that someone somewhere offered you job, heaven, and a favor, and you believed him? So you don't have to do like the rest of us in this dark-skinned world. Work harder, wait longer, struggle more for every inch of ground, and most of all, work smarter, because the battle coming round again, and this time it's for your brain.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yankee.
Hey!
Hey, hey, hey.
Who else? You, shorty, you think the struggle is so fucking over that you can afford to be some nigga's baby mother bitch with no other claim to fame but that once tight bit of teenage skin that his bastard weekend love child was conceived and carried in? So what exactly does that make you as you wait for social welfare handouts and some fraction of your baby father fortnight pay to buy the latest craze to dress your not so hot since the baby body in?
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaron. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey.
You're pushing 25 now. You got 3 kids, no STDs somehow, no job, not a ring in sight despite the putting out each Friday night. And you ain't hearing still. You had to spend another $19.50 on another Coke and KFC when you're done see that hypertense and sweet pea killing half a week. And you think the struggle is over. With your weave and your press on, good to go. And you know that you could still get it because your mobile have $5 credit for those most important words. Hey baby, call me back. And you know the boy cutting you some major slack.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony, stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Hey, hey, hey. I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
But since you liberated, and you know that you could give it good and he could get it up any place, anytime you, he, or any other body want. Don't mind your girl child home alone, ripening and thinking like her mama. And she well glad because her uncle, stepfather, brother who was sleeping by your mother done make her to understand where bamboo growing. You think the struggle is over so? Because you want to party hearty Monday night until next Friday. While coolie, Chinese, even gynae, and satisfied with 1 degree, but holding down 2 jobs, and taking part-time study all the while, and raising family beside, and you feel the struggle is over. Because we're independent, almost 30 years. Don't mind the politics still so small and dirty. Yes, we have our own dollar bill, but your dollar going in someone else's till. Amigo, Limey, Bakra, Beche, Yankee, whatever. But check it out, baby doll. Your buck ain't coming back to your studio apartment, a.k.a. that one-room shack. But watch you. You don't grow what you eat. You don't sew what you want to wear. In fact, you don't care if the party dress just put on once and throw away. So long you're looking fly and hot and fit to do what you got to do to keep your man by you. Girlfriend just don't care to know where we at or where we need to go, but she consider in these guava season post-fig days when she putting out, she better put aside some of that cell phone and fried chicken money to educate the pickney growing in her pickney belly. And you so effing right, my girl, you're reasoning tight like being white. You think the struggle over? And it's true. Because when you give up, give in, give out, that's when the struggle really done with you. Hey, hey, hey.
Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni. Yankee Doodle went to town riding on a pony. Stuck a feather in his cap and called it macaroni.
Hey, hey, hey.
I say Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yankee.
Hey, hey, hey.
Out in the street, they call it murder. Out in the street, they call it murder.
Time, baby. Circling artifacts of a near life. Drawing a slip knot noose on the narrowing midriff of the hourglass. Harrowing our present griefs like the persistent silt of persistent floodings of vexed rivers and collapsing mourns, cutting us off, compacting all the now we have into that new abyss at Columbet, that empty veranda at Summersdale, a vacant chair at Shock, and other washings away. Time, baby. Circling the precious artifacts of our near lives and the unrelenting slaughter. Baby in her cot, mother at her doormouth, Vanita Mopuri over her cash register, Laborde in his bed, the lovers on the beach burned in their car, and so on. Unrelenting slaughter, blood clotting over sidewalks, and the unrelenting, irrevocable anger of furious brown waters, cannonading of broken landsides, choking over damn garbage, pushing rivers to riot against flimsy barricades, roaring, devouring roots of hills. Unclean! Unclean, unclean! Too much blood in cracks of concrete, along swollen arteries of narrow yards on the cruel hands of cursing canes. Howling with a punching wind, in vain, in vain, in vain, against the punctured lungs. The axed skull, the shattered breastbone, the slaughtering of the girl Valinda, and desperate floods vomit their ochre hearts into the circling sea. And will the sea not clamor with her gathered brown relative, with the tectonic anger of her deeps, against bloody bandits and their accessories, gangs of divided tongues, those serpents, beasts without heart in fancy chariots, barons of death behind the scenes, brigands who defile the land with their deals, and raise a mighty tsunami to purge the haunts of blood. Blood, blood, too much blood on the innocent face of earth.
Oi, 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 oi. Ooh, right. Left, right, the soldiers are come. Left, right. Hi, 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 hi.
Right, soldiers are coming.
Oh,
Left, right.
Cause me say here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Master. I and I start recruit, soldiers for Selassie army, hey. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Master. Left, right, left, right.
It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to live without passion in a place that is part of you. To stay all level-headed when you feel the wind like it's your own hot breath. It's a hard thing. When you know a place so well that you can tell from the smell inside the house and the dark drumming on the zinc roof that August rain falling heavy and like a rake is ripping away your very skin from the surface of the earth. It's a hard thing.
Welcome. Oh, yeah. Ooh. Cause me say here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Master. I and I start recruit, soldiers, St Lucian army, hey. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Master. Left, right. Left, right.
It's a hard thing when in dry season you see all the soil crack up like a big brown heart, and all the happiness that come from loving green leaf and bubbling spring done, gone, and evaporate into air. It's a hard thing to stay all cool and comfortable and smile for people who you know would fuck up a place that is your home since before you born, because 3 generations before you struggle and get to buy a house and land together and to go in the place that their great-grandfather used to rent but could never buy in his one life before he died. It's a hard thing.
Left, right. Left, right. Left, right. Cause me say here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Master. Left, right. I and I start recruit, soldiers, St Lucian army. Left, right. Left, right.
It's a hard thing not to cry when this place is part of you, as much as the hand that hold the pen to write this thing. That same pen your godfather gave you when you passed for college, that pen with the deep dark ink that flow like a bloodline from it. It's a hard thing, and you would know, because there must be a good dose of nostalgia or melancholy or something else inside you there, besides this craving for a long time day when we used to understand that history is not what people tell us but part of who we are. Deep thinking people, determined to tell our story under moonlit mango tree or street lamp or in painting or in poetry or that sweeter music that used to come bubbling up from deep inside a place that we were not like now afraid to go. Because, you know, we owe a debt, a loyalty to this place that raised you and raised me, and should make you ask ancestors if it is all right to cut down a tree that is older than you, because somebody's navel string might be buried under there. It's a hard thing.
Oh, yeah. Hey. Cause me say here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Rasta. I and I start recruit, soldiers, St Lucian army, hey. Here comes trouble, here comes the danger, sent by the Savior, here comes the Rasta. I'm in a start recruit, and St Lucian is you in a warning. Left, right. Left, right.
Strange that you should ask what I think of the day of rage rising in Egypt, or the Persian Gulf on the brink, its blood spatter of stars falling to cryptically imploding earth. Don't speak of Rwanda or Palestine, the non-people, those of unspeakable pain, the ghost of Auschwitz crawling out of the catacombs again.
Only yesterday we shouted from the townships, the barrios, the favelas, that we had found a word, and that with Fanon on epoch-shattering lips, we would redefine the world in the clear voice of a people no longer coiled up under rocks and afraid. We think, we speak. The earth's wretched are.
No, don't speak of Freya or Sartre. Your tongue in our mouths has mystified the word again. The word, once clear as unspoiled rain, hangs heavy now. Its meaning obfuscated in recycled myth.
The world begins and ends with you, not us. The times are measured in your values, yours immutable, ours reach for the perfection of your gods.
Then why do you ask what I think of the day of rage rising in Egypt?
In Caravaggio's icon of Thomas seeing Christ, all eyes are locked to the doubter's firm finger poking around the torn flesh under the strong hand of the carpenter. Thomas, apostle to our secular, mocking, murderous new age, meeting his worst case scenario with a firm grit of flesh under his thumb, that index of incarnation, Emmanuel, God is with us. Under the impossible rubble, as we claw at the unimaginable earthfall, Emmanuel, over the body of someone's son, fallen in crossfire, in shrieking shadowlands of betrayal, through terminal disorientation of disease. Emmanuel. Because that wound is real, the death was certain. Here, beyond reason, beyond the apocalypse of private disasters, is something else. Is life beyond life, beyond heartbreak, beyond assassination, beyond the amnesia cancer of the mind. Here under our finger is faith. Here is hope. And he asks us, against the brutal heel and the locked door, the harsh fist of imploding earth, the shroud covered by her. Love one another.
Rejoice, rejoice, Emmanuel shall come to thee, oh, is right.
No. The natives are not happy. To tell you the truth, we don't even like that word. A native is no more than a colorful clown. Maybe local or national. Citizen even better. But what is native? No. Not even a noun. In school we learn Amazona versicolor is native to rainforests of St Lucia. That is an adjective. In school, we learn also that a native is some kind of Crusoe savage in a grass skirt with a bone piercing his nose. No. We are not natives and we are not happy. We are nationals and citizens. At least that is what they mark on the government sign at the airport. Then they have a next line marked visitors. Visitors is a government word for white people. Also known as tourists. Visitors is person that is not natives who does just arrive, stay over, and make expenditures. That is what makes them so important. Us who does not arrive but stay over here all our life seems to have no measurable expenditures and so is not very important. And even when we leave and migrate in America, England, or Canada and come home for Christmas or Carnival, or come home for some on again, off again festival, we still cannot be natives. Now, after the immigration stamp your passport and you pass, and if they don't mistake and ask you how long you're staying and you don't mistake and curse their ass, it have a next set of lines to take after you get your suitcase. If you're from here, don't go in the line with nothing to declare. The officer for sure will send you back. One reason to send you back is that the officer in the local line now want to measure all expenditures in your suitcase and make you pay for your rudeness of bringing a few Christmas gift, birthday present, and households effect for your people. Now, sometimes we as returning nationals, that is to say either we retire and come home to stay, or things don't work out so good in Brooklyn, New York, or London, in it. For sure, them times when you reach back, you cannot go in no tourist line. You must look for the sign that says citizens and residents goods to declare. They have to say it so because they cannot say all black people must pay here. That is verbal discrimination, like verbal abuse. And government always prefer non-verbal abuse for their nationals. Nobody can say they say. So I want somebody to explain me how tourists and people that looks like tourists in this country does never have no goods to declare. It is true. No duty on bath suit and suntan lotion. But if you brings a little perfume for your wife or your girlfriend, better known as Jabba, they want you to pay tax, duty, levy, service charges and all. Anyway, since it is so it go, I make myself to know that natives, nationals, and citizens cannot never be visitors in their own country. Same way, natives, nationals, and citizens cannot never be white. In America now, I could understand I is just an alien. They could use that word because it is not their own people trying to come back to their own country. So much of people overwork and overtax in their own country and cannot catch a break. They have to look for somewhere else to migrate. America well understand that. So that is why they call us aliens. Because we come like a whole other species that want to invade America. So the authorities feel we is something from another planet altogether. Something invading Earth, a virus. Something to vaporize, like Star Wars. Something to keep behind a wall. And still, when it is here they come, in our island, how they does suddenly become visitors to bow down to and welcome. And what does vex me is from their inception, they does find themselves in our line at immigration. And what does be burning me more is nobody does not send them back in their own line. I say send them back. Ask them to politely please understand from day one as they reach, it has some kind of order here. It is not rule of the jungle and survival of the fairest. Now understand me well. Visitors can become residents. They can become nationals. They can even become citizens, especially if they're spending time and plenty money. But why we just be so happy when white people want to remain? Why we just feel like our country is suddenly so nice and hospitable and important, especially for them that live not living anywhere near Gaza or the Gully. But I understand. Visitors can never be locals. Visitors don't want to be native. Because that is not a noun, that is an adjective. And to besides, no matter how long you spend here, if you don't born here, if you're people not from here, it always have somebody ready to remind you where you come from. And how soon you're supposed to go back.
In the Duvanjou quiet, before the sun comes over the shoulder of the world, there is no prayer. I gave up the going down on knees in the morning of a world in flower, when 1,000 flowers dared to blossom, and somewhere in a field of disparate ideas, we sought to gather the colors that would paint a brave new world. But how the vision ages with us to the same old sameness.
In the Devanjou hours on the cusp of a bleak day, blown petals of hope ungathered, vinous tears of a generation run profusely on the sodden cheeks of earth. No fingered beads repeat our sacrilegious faith. The world still waits for a new greening, some other rhythm, a blossoming beyond the algorithms of those who have written this future.
In the Duvanjou quiet, this frayed future that despite the bombast of new paradigms, perpetuates the seasons of the past, a strange drought of spirit, a welling of tears dispersed like wine, like blood spilt from this drought-cracked carafe, this broken day. In the Duvanjou disquiet, before the sun comes over the shoulder of the world, there is no prayer. There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no
There
prayer.
is no prayer.
No prayer.
There is no prayer. There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no
Hold
prayer.
your head
There is
and
no prayer.
cry.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is
For her son has
no
been
prayer.
shot down in the street at night
There is no prayer.
from a stray.
There is no prayer.
bullet.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
There is no prayer.
She cried, oh,
No prayer.
There is no prayer.
oh, Johnny was a good man. Oh, never did a thing wrong. She cried.
Our technicians, our director, Light, sound, audiovisual, part of the team. The cast and crew of Three Stools and a Piano would like to dedicate this performance to the people of Dominica. Thank you. Technicians, our director, light, sound, audiovisual, part of the team. The cast and crew of Three Stools and a Piano would like to dedicate this performance to the people of Dominica. Thank you.
When the Legacy Committee decided to stage a number of events to honor the 20th anniversary of Dame Pullett's appointment, we thought of a number of activities, and among them was a cultural artistic night. Her Excellency, 20 years of service. We have to do something for her. And so Adrian said, tell you one thing, once it's for Excellency, it's going to be classy. It's going to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, wasn't it good? Mm-hmm. Tonight's reasoning and resistance, to weave that story of memory, love, light, the reasoning, and then the resistance, recognition, and the consciousness that we need in this land. You know, it is good to see what technology can do. That Derek was with us tonight. And Derek will always be with us. And poetry will always be with us. Because even when Robert Lee is gone, and Adrian is gone, and George is gone, the others will come. For as the poet says, ours is an ageless line. Tonight, we are really happy for Dame Pullett. This is the penultimate activity of the Dame Pullett Legacy Committee. And so Her Excellency's 20th anniversary is now being linked in solidarity with our concern for the people of Dominica. I haven't said it to Adrian, but Adrian, you almost brought me to tears, you know, almost. Well, you came close, you know. But, you know, for me, despite all the negativity, despite all the depression, boy, a night like tonight gives me hope. Hope. Because we have spirit, we have heart, we have soul in this place. And as long as we have voices that can articulate and resist in the midst of the depravity, as long as we have voices, we have hope. So I would like to thank you for contributing to this great moment for Dame Pullett, for making tonight a beautiful night.